Shocking shoplifting or shop robbing is widespread in San Francisco, which forced 17 Walgreens to close down. We have a detailed reporting today with a wish that such phenomenon would never come to your neighborhood tomorrow.
It turned out Dr. Fauci and Zuckerberg and high-tech firms have much closer relationship with Wuhan Institute of Virology than we all think. What is that?
Welcome to Wei and
Cathy
show. All right, so indeed we have a phenomenon that is happening in San Francisco, very specifically. It is so far only local to San Francisco, but we do have the worry that someday it will come to your neighborhood. So the reason why you present to you what is exactly happened today is so that we can prevent it from happening in the future.
Yeah, so a video from San Francisco went viral during the past 48 hours and showing a guy on a bike inside a Walgreen in San Francisco, just shoplifting right in front of the store's security guard. So it supposedly happened around June 14th, just a couple of days ago at a San Francisco Walgreen. Let's take a look of the video. You may have seen it. So you saw the guy on a bike. Okay, the security guard tried to grab the bag full of stuff, wasn't successful. The guy just ran away in a broad daylight. So actually, for San Franciscans, it's probably not shocking, but for other people, just feels so shocking, right? But actually, it's kind of common in the city by the bay. Let's take a look at another video that's back in March. Also in a Walgreen, another Walgreen in San Francisco. You saw this guy jumped over the counter, grabbed some things, probably an electronics device, just scooted away. So that's actually, it's happened in we actually, Wei and Cathy, we actually had a personal encounter of such incidents back in this February. And it was at the Walgreen in San Francisco Union Square at night. So I was kind of shocked and didn't know what happened. But when I realized, I just took out the phone and took a few pictures. Let's show that the pictures. You can see this man actually wore a Halloween mask, and he was like just shoveling from the shelf the stuff into the garbage bag, and then just walked away. And the store security guard just looked on and, didn't really do anything. I guess, for the safety, the store just, not asking them not to try to stop such a shoplifter. So actually, because of the widespread and the persistent shoplifting, 17 Walgreens stores closed in San Francisco during the past 5 years. Walgreen isn't just losing all of those merchandise, right? Would you go to such store to shop, right? So it also not only happened to Walgreen, it happened also to other convenience stores. Let's see a video from December of 2020. And that's happened in another convenience store.
Get out of my store.
So the store staff said, "Get out of my store." We don't know if he's the owner or just an employee. So the guy just, didn't. Still try to get more stuff. Got more stuff. So the store guy just you can see how he was frustrated. Showed his way out. Nothing else he could do.
Does.
So actually in San Francisco, some stores just resort to hire some private security firms or off-duty police officers to deter such thieves. But actually such security cost is very high. It can be like up to $1,000 per day. So adding the loss from the theft and the cost of doing business in San Francisco can really become too high for a store to keep the door open. So not only Walgreen closed 17 stores during the past 5 years, other convenience stores, chains like CVS are closing their doors in several locations in the city because of their product loss rate has climbed more than 100%. So the president and CEO of California Retailers Association, Rachel Michelin, she confirmed to me that this is one of the main reasons that those stores closed in California, especially in San Francisco.
It is a huge part of the problem because when you cannot, as a store operator, you can't protect your employees and you have people coming in and doing these blatant crimes in front of your employees, in front of your customers, where people don't feel safe. You look at that and you realize, well, maybe we're better off being in a neighborhood where our employees feel safer. I think this is really a safety issue. When you're not prosecuting some of these.
So the regional VP of CVS, that's another established pharmacy chain, said at a San Francisco Board of Supervisors hearing that happened in May, he said that the theft in San Francisco Walgreen locations is of CVS locations is 4 times higher than stores in elsewhere in the country. He also said that CVS spends 35 times more on security in San Francisco than in other locations. They also reported that 42% of the CVS loss in the Bay Area are from 12 stores in San Francisco, but these stores only represent 8% of the market share. So the cost of doing business in San Francisco, you can see how high it is. And the director of organized retail crime for CVS pointed out that it was a professional crime that accounted for 85% of its losses. So he called San Francisco one of the epicenter of organized retail crime. So,
yeah, I don't know among our viewers who else see similar things in around the country. So we used to know this word called shoplifting, right? Mm-hmm. This is not shoplifting. This is shop robbing.
Yeah. So such organized retail crime, how prevalent it happened in California. So let's listen to Rachel Michelin.
Out of the top 10 cities nationally for organized retail crime, California is home to 3. Los Angeles is the number 1 city for organized retail crime. San Francisco is number 5, and Sacramento is number 10. So it's definitely a problem here.
Yeah, you can see all those cities, Democrat-run cities mainly, right? So, and actually back in talking about organized retail crime, back in October 2020, the California Organized Retail Crime Task Force, it is a task force including, the law enforcement teams such as the California Highway Patrol of Division of Law Enforcement, the San Mateo County Sheriff Office Crime Suppression Unit, and the California Highway Patrol, San Francisco County District Attorney's Office. So this task force actually busted a major retail theft ring and recovered how many of the stolen merchandise? $8 million. Okay, $8 million of worth of merchandise stolen. Much of them were from Walgreen, CVS, and the Target. And according to the investigators, such retail theft ring consists of so-called boosters or professional shoplifters. They enter the store and stuff bags with merchandise, as we saw, And the boosters then meet up in the Tenderloin district in San Francisco and sold items to so-called crew leaders or street fences. So they have their roles divided, who actually posted a photo on social media of trunk full of stolen merchandise and a stack of $100 bills. And according to the investigators, they pay these thieves approximately $1 or $2 per item. And then they sell it to an illicit wholesale operation. So who operate this wholesale operation is they call a distributor or medicine man. So the medicine man will buy those stolen items and sell it online. So videos from the police show that this medicine man unloading trunk loads full of merchandise at one of his warehouses, including mouthwash, cleaning supplies, shampoo, over-the-counter medicine, and more than $1 million worth of razors. And he allegedly directed the boosters who, go to steal items to steal small, compact items with long expiration dates and high resale values. So the task force found the stolen goods in 16 different storage lockers, warehouse, and homes across the Bay Area. Much of the goods were then sold online through a shell company operated by this medicine man. So Rachel Michelin, the CEO and the president of the California Retail Association, she said this kind of organized crime is more than a safety issue.
What we are looking at are people who are going in, who are stealing from stores. Those stolen items then are becoming part of an organized crime network. They're being used by gangs. They're being used for human trafficking. They're being used for other things that really lead to really bad actors. They're preying on young people. They're preying on juveniles. They're preying on the homeless. They're paying them $100 to send them into a store and steal so that they don't have to be tied to it, nor do they have to take responsibility.
So the law enforcement said that actually these organized thieves, they are going across the bay. So not only in San Francisco, okay, though they're going to San Francisco, but it's becoming larger and larger, and more people are getting involved. So last week, actually, a group of young people were caught on video when they stole dozens of luxury bags at the Louis Vuitton store in Stanford Shopping Center in Palo Alto. So it's already got out of San Francisco. Let's watch. Look at those people are running with the handbags. Yeah. So actually, according to people posted on the Chinese social media, the witness said that 34 handbags were stolen just in 37 seconds. Very professional. And actually, just a few days ago, then this happened. A nearby Chanel store was stolen, worth of $150,000 handbags. And according to National Retail Federation, the designer bags are among the top targets of organized retail crime. And we can see, like the designer clothes are the top target, then laundry detergent. You notice in San Francisco, in some convenience store or grocery store, you will find that the laundry detergents were locked, which never happened before. And the razors, designer handbags are all the top targets for the thefts. And over the course of the investigation, the investigators also uncovered evidence exposing the international scope of the theft ring. So the suspects transported, stored, and sold stolen goods in other countries, and then laundered the money back to the United States.
Okay, so you have seen enough. So basically, just imagine that somebody just break into your home and just take whatever things with the baggage, garbage bag, and then can he got away? Chances are no, right? You're gonna call 911, police will show up, he will be locked away, and then you will recover your goods. And then another situation you imagine this could happen is in the dark night, right? People sneak into the store, just broke the window and just wrap up things and just run away in stealth. We're talking about daylight, broad daylight. These things happening in San Francisco on the land of America. So we have to ask, I know that you have been begging this question. So why did it happen? What happened? Why so in San Francisco? What's special about San Francisco, Cathy?
Yeah, so talking about San Francisco, we cannot only just talk about San Francisco. It actually relates to what's going on in California. So actually the retail stores, they blamed for dramatic increase in the shoplifting on the passage of a Proposition 47 in 2014.
And what is that Proposition 47?
Right. So this proposition amended California's Penal Code, Section 490.2, which lower penalties for certain thefts. So the theft of less than $950 in goods is treated as a non-violent misdemeanor. So the maximum punishment for such a misdemeanor is 6 months in county jail. But actually, most of the time, the suspects were just released after one night under some condition. And I was actually personally told by some police officers in San Francisco that under this new DA, the district attorney, that who just got elected last year, and so he actually don't even punish those people, sentence or prosecute those people who steal over the value of 950. So the Proposition 47 overall in California is really just kind of decriminalize such criminal behavior and made those crimes just no consequence. So the retail stores just blamed on that. And besides that, the president and the CEO of California Retailers Association, Rachel Michelin, also said it is also because of the new district attorney, Chesa Boudin's policy. So let's listen.
And we have partnered pretty well with law enforcement on this. Now we need the prosecutors, like district attorneys, and there are a number of district attorneys across the state who understand the importance of why these crimes are these gateway crimes and why we have to do something to deter them now. Unfortunately, in places like San Francisco, where you're seeing this skyrocket, it's because we don't have district attorneys who are willing to prosecute and really show that the city's not going to stand for this type of criminal behavior.
Yeah, so this district attorney in San Francisco, Chesa Boudin, he is a really, really progressive person. He ran on very progressive policies. And so I was told also by the police officers in San Francisco that they are also very frustrated that he does not only not prosecute those thieves who stolen worth less than $950, but also for those who stolen goods for over thousands of dollars, he won't prosecute them, and even some of the violent criminals. So I have been asking about some of the statistics from the district attorney's office, so we can see more details after we receive the information. And so how does you might ask, how would the San Francisco residents react? And I talked to a resident called Maria, and she expressed her frustration.
We don't feel safe because there's a lot of vandalism. I think that as a city girl and being part of this community, we should be able to feel safe. But, most of the time we're very unsafe because there's so much vandalism going on and so much crime.
So CVS estimated that organized retail crime cost California about $40 million in lost sales tax revenue, which means each family pays $500 more per year in increased price. And meanwhile, funding for the organized retail crime task force, which busted the theft ring, as I mentioned, will end in July. So this funding was approved by the former governor Jerry Brown in 2018, and now pending the state legislators and Governor Newsom to decide whether to extend it. But after all, Californians are still stuck with Proposition 47 and the other measures that decriminalize those behavior. So Maria told me she grew up in San Francisco, just loved the city, and never thought about leaving the city. But now her thoughts might change.
Every day it seems to be getting closer to more crime and violence, that now our mindset it's changing, where it's coming to doubting if we really want to stay or we want to leave somewhere where it's more safe for our kids and our teenagers and our future generation.
Yeah, so people really concerned about especially for the future generation, and what San Francisco is doing. Even though with the task force they are doing, they actually busted a few theft rings just recently, but overall it's still taxpayers' money, and taxpayers like Maria just wonder why we still pay for such to them, which cannot really guarantee their safety. So.
Yeah, so unbelievable in the city of San Francisco, which is a part of the city, which is a city on the land of America, and we have to ask ourselves why, right? So this Proposition 47 was passed in 2014, so it has been in effect for 7 years, bringing such a disaster all across California, especially in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Sacramento, which is the state capital. Okay, just mind you, and why Proposition 47? Why? Let me just read you what happened back then. So this measure was endorsed by the editorial board of New York Times, which praised this proposition as a way to reduce overcrowding in the state's prison. And New York Times,
right,
back in the East Coast, care about the overcrowding in the California state's prison, and you wonder why. It was also endorsed by the editorial board of another newspaper called the Los Angeles Times, which wrote that the measure was a good, quote, good and a timely measure that can help the state make a smarter use of its criminal justice and incarceration resources. The American Civil Liberty Union, ACLU, also supported this measure and it donated $3.5 million to support it. Okay. And so this is what happened then. And in the name of making good use of a criminal, justice resource, they say, let's be lenient with those, petty theft.
Yeah, and actually not only Proposition 47 in California, there's Proposition 57 and another measure, they almost passed it, but it was defeated. I reported a while ago, we did a live show, if you watch that. It's a bill that to actually also decriminalize the shoplifting, which make it misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but fortunately, it got shelved at the end. But overall, it just seems that leftists. I think we discussed that before. The extreme leftists, they just try to decriminalize, and so that the society become more chaos, right? So that
if you remember back in 1990s when Rudy Giuliani was the mayor of New York City, right? He was famous for this broken window theory, okay? So making sure that fix all the broken window on the street of Manhattan, and of course Brooklyn and Queens. By doing that, when people don't see as many broken window, they feel safe. They feel less prone to commit crime. So that simple act, by stop this, petty theft or the petty crime, that would petty misdemeanor that would bring New York Times back to a normal and safe city. Of course, we're talking about 10 to 20 years ago. But now in San Francisco, in the name of being lenient to those small crime, and then move the resource to so-called big crime, they grow this. They just grow, just like a wildfire. Those petty crimes, which will, when you stole something, you got away, nobody stopped you. What do? You stole more, you steal more, right? And so the small petty crime go to become medium, then become large. So largely our society or community just got degenerated this way. So this reminds us about this law and order, right? The law and order keep our community intact. When you loosen those up, you loosen our society. The society basically fall apart. In broad daylight, you have this kind of, really not shoplifting, right? This is shop robbing, this daytime robbing. If they can do today, there's no consequence. They're gonna be, bolder tomorrow, and even bolder the day after. So this is what happened to our country, to our, let's say first to our city, okay, which is where we're at.
Yeah, and usually, people said where California goes, where the country goes,
Yeah,
and where San Francisco goes, where California goes. And I think I saw, some comments saying that because we all know that San Francisco, a lot of the politicians are also, in a federal stage. So what's happening in San Francisco could really have a big impact on the country.
Now the vice president of United States came from San Francisco. House Speaker came from San Francisco. Governor of California came from San Francisco. Two senators, two federal senators from California come from San Francisco.
Oh, now there's one actually came from Southern California.
Okay, all right.
And also, in California, the HHS, the health secretary was also come from San Francisco.
Yeah, all right.
So
whatever happened.
not San Francisco. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, whatever
Los
happened in
Angeles.
San Francisco will become what will happen to California, and what happened in California will become what would happen in the rest of the country. That's the conventional saying, right? The reason why we do this report today is we want to say what happened in San Francisco stop everywhere because we reported sufficiently enough. That's why
Yeah.
we do this reporting today.
And I hope those stores, those retailers, they're realizing how it affects their bottom line, affects the safety of their employees. So hopefully, more and more people just wake up to such kind of extreme leftist policy. It's not doing good to anyone. And hope this would be like the pendulum just swinging to the extreme left, it can swing back. Yeah, wake people up.
All right. Actually, we prepared two pieces of news. The second one has to do with collaboration between Dr. Fauci and Zuckerberg of Facebook, and how they work. They did quite some work for the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and I think we ran out of time.
Right.
So I think it's good to just focus on this shop robbing case, so that you can walk away and remember what you saw in San Francisco, and remember that you would make that never happen in your community.
Yeah, I saw Judy said your relative work in Walmart, and I also saw kind of a similar phenomenon. And, yeah.
Unbelievable. Like when we raise kids, right? Kids did something minorly wrong, you discipline them. That's how you prevent these kids from doing bigger wrong. And then now in our society, we're doing the reverse. We're letting people, do the small wrongs, and we say, let's be lenient. It's okay, no big deal. Yeah, that deal will become bigger and bigger and bigger until it went out of control. At that time, the people will panic. People say, we want a strong hand. We want a strong government. We're willing to give our rights to the government so that they can secure us. That's the classic formula for the communist/progressive to grab power. So let's just guard against that.
Yeah, and Ruth said the Californian must being seen for Californication, being seen for what it is. Let's fix it and vote away the criminals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Oh, no joke.
No joke.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Our
the-
friends are asking.
Yeah. No joke. Sorry about that. My dad is building up. Yeah, I realized that. Okay, so basically it's just a little too busy, and as you noticed, right? Kathy did all the talk, and you wonder why? Because Wei was, too tied up. So yeah, have to skip joke, but I'll remember that tomorrow. No, next time.
For the next time.
For the next time, yes,
Okay,
for
that's
sure.
a promise.
Yeah, I think that's a promise. Thank you guys for staying with us, and stay safe.
All right. Take care.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.